Hey, Keeper Cubs, Mrs. Hoffer here today to help you with today's English language knowledge lesson. After today's lesson in Read Alouds, you will know the geographic locations of several Native American tribes. You will understand the Tier 3 word moccasins, and you'll be able to identify differing foods, homes, and various items from different Native American tribes. Friends, before today's read aloud, we're going to do a little bit of a review of the previous lessons that we've had on Native American tribes. Friends, can you name the three tribes that we have already learned about in this domain? What are they called? That's right, Keeble Cubs. These are the Lakota Sioux, the Wampanoag, and the Lenape tribe. Good jobs. Friends, we will hear the names of several other tribes in today's read alouds, such as the Pueblo, the Iroquois, the Navajo, and the Zuni Pueblo. These tribes, we're going to be learning about tribes that are both in North and South America. We live in North America in the United States. Friends, do we remember where these tribes, the three tribes that we've learned about before, live in the United States? What regions did they live in? I remember that the Lakota Sioux live in the Great Plains. The Wampanoag lived in the current day Massachusetts and Rhode Island areas, and the Lenape tribe lived in the eastern woodlands of the Northeast, also known as current day New York, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. Good job, Cubs. Friends, the Iroquois tribe lived in what is now called Pennsylvania and New York. The four other tribes that we're going to learn about today, Keeble Cubs, the Pueblo, Navajo, and Zuni Pueblo, lived in the western part of the United States in what is now Utah, Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico. Keeble Cubs, now it's time for today's read aloud portion of the lesson. We will be reading the story A Native American Alphabet. After the story, students should be able to identify various items, homes, and foods from varying Native American tribes. And students, you'll be able to demonstrate an understanding of the Tier 3 word moccasins. Friends, remember to listen carefully and learn about different items used by Native American tribes. Long before you and me, Native Americans were here, you see. Many tribes in different places, different names, and different faces. A is for adobe bricks that made Pueblo houses. B is for buffalo that galloped across the plains. C is for canoes that drifted on silent rivers. D is for drum songs sung long ago. E is for elders who led their tribe in prayer. F is for feasts made up of clams and corn. G is for great tales told with totem poles. Friends, these are the totem poles. H is for howpea ovens that baked warm bread. I is for Iroquois, runner on the trail. J is for juniper berries used to dye tan blankets. K is for kachina dancers who hoped for rain. L is for longhouses built of logs and bark. M is for moccasins made of leather and beads. N is for Navajo who herded flock of sheep.
O is for ornaments, which made clothing more beautiful. P is for powwows held now and then. Q is for quills from porcupines used for weaving. R is for rugs woven on a loom. S is for salmon cooked in a woven basket. T is for teepees made with buffalo hides. U is for under. The Navajo slept under hogan roofs. V is for venison stew made from Iroquois travelers. Friends, remember venison is what we call deer meat. W is for Wampanoag Weechoos set near the coast. X is for X's, which decorated tribal dress. Y is for young children who listen to stories. Z is for Zuni Pueblo who crafted water jars. Now, friends, let's reread the guided lesson. Long before you or me, Native Americans were here, you see, many tribes in different places, different names and different faces. Remember, a tribe is a group of similar people who share common ancestors, customs, and laws. A is for adobe bricks that made Pueblo houses. What tribe did I just name here, Keeble Cubs? That's right, I named the Pueblo tribe. They are a Native American tribe that lived in these houses made of stone and sun-dried bricks called adobe. B is for buffalo that galloped across the plains. Long ago, friends, many buffalo roamed the Great Plains and were hunted for food and other things by different Native American tribes living in the vast grassy area of our country. C is for canoes that drifted on silent rivers. Friends, how did Native Americans travel on the water? That's right, they used a canoe, like in the picture, a long, narrow boat made from long, hollowed out logs or the bark of trees. D is for drum songs sung long ago. E is for elders who led their tribe in prayer. Friends, an elder is an older person who is also a leader. F is for feasts made up of clams and corn. Remember, friends, clams are a type of seafood. G is for great tales told with totem poles. Keeble Cubs, totem poles were carved from logs by certain tribes to tell a story. They're like sculptures. H is for happy ovens that baked warm bread. What tribe did I just name here? Some Native American tribes cooked their food on an open fire, like we saw earlier with the clams and corn. The Hopi tribe baked their bread in this kind of oven seen here. I is for Iroquois, runner on the trail. Friends, Native Americans traveled on foot or horseback or in canoes. This runner from the Iroquois tribe is very fast. J is for juniper berries used to dye tan blankets. Juniper berries, friends, grow on trees and were used to color blankets, as we just heard. K is for Kachina dancers who hoped for rain. Friends, different tribes perform different dances and ceremonies to ask their gods to make things happen or to thank their gods as well. L is for longhouses built of logs and bark. Several Iroquois family friends could live in each longhouse, which had little apartments in it, and it was about the size of 5 classrooms. M is for moccasins made of leather and beads. Moccasins are shoes worn by many Native American tribes. Some of them were decorated with beads and feathers to make them more colorful. N is for Navajo, who herded flock of sheep. Keeble cubs, what tribe did I just name? That's right, the Navajo. Good job. O is for ornaments, which made clothing more beautiful. Friends, Native American tribes often decorated their clothing with beads, as you can see in this picture. P is for powwows held now and then. Friends, in the past, when a group of Native Americans gathered for a meeting, it was called a powwow. Today, when Native Americans meet to dance, sing, and honor Native American culture, it may also be called a powwow. Q is for quills from porcupines used for weaving. Friends, on the page, we can see quilled tribal ornaments. R is for rugs woven on a loom. Friends, a loom is the wooden frame, and the rugs would be woven on them using thick strings such as wool. S is for salmon cooked in a woven basket. Keeble cubs, if these baskets, like the one seen in the picture, were put directly over the fire, they would burn. Instead, Native Americans dropped hot stones into a basket of water to make it boil and then put their food in the basket to cook. T is for teepees made with buffalo hides. Remember, Kibo Cubs, the hides of this are the skins of the animals. Like Pueblo houses and longhouses, teepees were homes for some Native Americans. U is for under. The Navajo slept under Hogan roofs. What tribe did I just name here, Keeble Cubs? That's right, friends, the Navajo. Great work. V is for venison stew made for Iroquois travelers. This man in the picture, who is from their Iroquois tribe, is eating venison, or deer meat, stew from his bowl. W is for Wampanoag set near the coast. What tribe did I just name here, friends? That's right, the Wampanoag. X is for X's, which decorated tribal dress. Y is for young children who listen to stories. Friends, this is a gathering of young and old Native Americans around a campfire. Z is for Zuni Pueblo, who crafted water jars. Friends, what tribe did I just name here? That's right, the Zuni Pueblo. Good job.
Friends, now it's time to check for understanding. What are some of the different foods eaten by Native Americans that you heard about in today's Read Aloud? That's right, we heard about bread, clams, corn, salmon, and venison stew. Good job, Cubs. Cubs, what are some things Native American used to make these homes that they lived in, which are called teepees, longhouses, pueblos, hogans, and the Witu? That's right, Cubs. We learned that Native Americans used buffalo hides, so that's their skins. They used logs and bark and adobe bricks to make homes. And how are these homes the same, but how are they also different, Kibo Cubs? Good job. They are the same because some of them have similar shape and structure, like a dome shape. A lot of them have similar things. materials used to build them, such as hides that we just talked about. They both had Native American tribes as inhabitants. There are many different things that we can use to both compare and contrast the different types of homes that Native American tribes lived in. Good job, Cubs. Friends, what are some things that Native Americans did that you heard about in this read aloud? That's right, Keeble Cubs. We learned that they had powwows. They listened to stories. They hoped for rain. They hunted buffalo. They cooked food. They played drums, built homes, made clothing, made baskets. They made water jars, rugs, and blankets, and herded sheep. They did so much. Cable Cubs, why are there so many different types of homes, foods, and ways of traveling for the Native Americans? That's right. There are many different Native American tribes, and they lived in very different geographic locations. Friends, you've heard about many different Native American tribes. How did the author, so the person who wrote the story we just learned, say they were different? How did the author also say that the tribes were the same, Keeble Cubs? Think of things that we just heard about in the story. You can pause and go back to the read aloud and listen for key details of things that made the tribes the same and different. Good job, Cable Cubs. Friends, in the read aloud you heard M is for moccasins made of leather and beads. Say the word moccasins with me. Moccasins are soft shoes made of leather, often decorated with beads and feathers. Many Native American people wear moccasins to protect their feet as they walk throughout the Great Plains. How are moccasins similar to the shoes you wear, Keeble Cubs, and how are they different? Try to use the word moccasins when you tell me about it. Pause the video and tell me how your shoes are the same or different than moccasins. When you respond to me, you should start your sentence with moccasins are similar to the shoes I wear because, and tell me how they're similar, and then tell me how they're different. Good job, Cuds. Friends, remind me, what's the word that we've been talking about? That's right, moccasins. Friends, what sound do you hear at the end of the word moccasins? That's right, we hear the sound S. The letter S is added to a word, like at the end of moccasins, to show that there is more than one thing. What would be the word without S, Keeble Cubs? What would we be saying if we didn't add the letter S to the end of the word moccasins? That's right, Cubs. It would be moccasin. Good job. What other words can you think of that have an S at the end to make it more than one? Let me know, Keeble Cubs. That's all the time we have for today, Keeble Cubs. Great job.